I want to be with you forever. Please marry me. I promise I will make you happy.
These were the words my husband said when he proposed. Tears welled up in my eyes, blurring my vision. His words touched my heart so deeply. I felt enveloped by immense happiness, confident that together we could overcome any challenge. We would support each other no matter what, without a doubt. Then one day, he shattered this image.
I've fallen for someone else. I want a divorce.
What? Who could have imagined that my husband of 6 years would suddenly ask for divorce? My name is Angela. My husband Ken and I have been married for 6 years. It was just recently that we celebrated our anniversary at our favorite restaurant, toasting with fine wine. So why this? Wait, just wait a second. You've fallen for someone else? And you want a divorce? You're joking, right? I couldn't comprehend what was happening, and half smiled in disbelief. But his expression was dead serious. Nothing like his usual calm demeanor. Are you serious?
I wouldn't joke about something like this.
His voice was colder than I'd ever heard. But why? We have been getting along without any big fights. Why now? Tears started to well up. Had I been oblivious to the fact that he had found someone else, thinking we had a good marriage?
I want kids.
Huh? Kids?
I can't have them with you, you know. I want to divorce quickly and remarry her.
He's right. I couldn't have children. We discovered this 3 years into our marriage. Despite our normal intimate life, there were no signs of pregnancy. After a test, it turned out I was the reason. I was so shocked that I even considered divorce. I thought it would be better for him to be happy with someone else, since I couldn't give him a family. But he had reassured me back then.
I married you because I love you. Just being together is enough, kids or not.
I stopped blaming myself, saved by his words, and decided to enjoy our life together. I was so glad I married him. But why now? But you said you would be happy together, even without kids, remember? I appealed with a tearful voice. But his expression remained unchanged.
I only said that as a front. Who wouldn't want kids? I'm tired of being with you.
His disdain was apparent, a stark contrast to the man he once was. Tired of being with me? What does that even mean? I've tried to build a happy life despite everything. I wanted to scream at him, but his words were true in a way. But it's true, as he said, that I have been forcing him to endure this situation because of me. He must have struggled too, in his own way. I couldn't believe his comforting words were lies. I believed every word he said. I couldn't bring myself to blame him completely. Maybe it was my fault that he became this cold after all. He opened his mouth and told me as I was deep in thought.
Just give me the divorce. I've already promised to marry her. You're just in the way now.
In the way? Isn't that a bit harsh? I felt insulted by his words, in the way, despite feeling somewhat guilty before.
Why? It's the truth. I've spent 6 years with a wife who can't conceive. You should be thanking me.
He said this, conveniently excusing himself from any blame. Seeing this dark side of him that I had never seen before made me feel sick to my stomach. So you really felt that way? All your reassurances were lies.
Duh, obviously. I haven't been happy since finding out about your infertility. Every day was hell. I just wanted to divorce.
At that moment, I felt my feelings for him cooling rapidly. His blunt words made me realize he had no intention of repairing our marriage. He only cared about his future with his lover. Everything suddenly seemed ridiculous. Fine. If that's how you feel, we can get a divorce. But just so you know, I expect you to pay alimony. He responded to my proposal with scorn.
What? Alimony? I should be the one getting it. 6 years with an infertile wife. You've wasted 6 years of my life, and now you want alimony?
At that moment, I felt a surge of anger from deep within. Just because I can't have children doesn't mean he has a right to say such things. We are still legally husband and wife. There's no excuse for his affair. My disgust for him turned into hatred. I wasn't going to suffer through this alone. I refused to let things go his way. I was going to make him pay. Once I made up my mind, things moved quickly. First, I needed evidence of his affair. I couldn't file for divorce until I had it. I turned back to my husband. I'm okay with a divorce, but wait 2 weeks. There are things I need to prepare since this is so sudden.
Fine, but only 2 weeks. After that, we are definitely getting a divorce.
He replied impatiently and left the house. Later, I packed my things and visited the detective agency during a work break. I hired them to gather as much evidence of his affair as possible for a week. My husband, thinking I had accepted the divorce, often visited his mistress' apartment. They met up daily for work and shopped at famous brand stores, coming out with numerous bags. The shops were all women's brands, likely him splurging on her. Photos captured them both smiling and him looking infatuated. The agency told me they dined at expensive restaurants nightly, with my husband paying every time. His reckless spending was astounding. Where did he get all that money from? He was stingy with me, but generous with his mistress. However, this resulted in more evidence than I imagined, and the agency found it easy to gather. A few days after the 2-week period, I received a call while filling out the divorce papers. Hello?
It's me. Did you sign the divorce papers? Hurry up.
His tone was condescending. I'm doing it as we speak. I will file them later. He sighed heavily and said,
You are always so slow. Pack your things and leave quickly. That place will be a love nest for me and her. Take all your stuff with you.
He hung up without waiting for a response. A love nest for him and her? I thought, amused. He lived there with me all this time. I will take everything, don't worry. My revenge will be complete. I was frighteningly enjoying my revenge on him. I wouldn't turn back now. I was determined to make him suffer. I signed the divorce papers and was packing when I heard some noise from the front door.
You're still here?
It was Ken. Why are you here? He smirked triumphantly.
I've been living at her place. I only brought a few things with me. I came to get more clothes.
Perfect timing. I have something for you to sign. I handed him a document.
What's this?
I've been consulting a lawyer because I don't want us to continue arguing. It's a legal agreement about post-divorce matters. Read it carefully and sign. Despite telling him to read it carefully, he just casually and carelessly signed it right there, obviously annoyed by the hassle. And he tossed the paper at me.
You're so annoying. I won't bother you again, even without these stupid documents.
He muttered that and retreated to his room to get his things. I did warn him to read it carefully. I muttered with a smirk. I knew he'd likely skim over it, but I never imagined it would work out this well. I cheerfully continued packing up every single one of my belongings in the house. The next day, I submitted the divorce papers and had a moving company take my stuff to my parents' house. I planned to live alone eventually, but for now, I'd stay with them. I had already explained the divorce to them. Both my parents were furious at first, but they praised my plan when I told them. A few days later, Ken called sooner than I expected.
Hey, what the hell is this?
He shouted over the phone as soon as I answered. Well, hello to you too.
Quiet. Why is the house empty?
He was panicking, angry and upset, spewing nonsense. I patiently explained to him. Why? You told me to take all my stuff, didn't you? So I did just that.
But that's ridiculous. There is not a single piece of furniture or appliance left. We bought those with our savings.
He was ranting, out of breath. It seemed like he was conveniently altering his memory, so I explained it to him again. What are you talking about? Everything in that house was bought with my money. Have you forgotten how you were fired and we lived off my income when we first got married? He fell silent, remembering. Right after we got engaged and moved in together, he lost his job. So I bought all the necessary furniture and appliances. I even paid the mortgage until he found a new job. He seemed to remember and suddenly lost his earlier bluster. What's wrong? Gone quiet all of a sudden? Just remembered, did you? Oh, and by the way, the condo is part of the asset division. So if you ever sell it, remember you owe me half the selling price.
What? What is all about? You didn't say anything about this.
You signed it yourself, remember? I told you to read it carefully, but you were too lazy, and that's why this happened.
I signed it? You mean that paper I signed?
This bonehead finally realized. The paper he signed contained many important clauses, including property division and suing both him and his mistress for alimony. I explained this to him again, and he was speechless, sobbing over the phone. Why are you crying? You, the one who cheated, have the nerve to cry? I'm the one who's been hurt here.
But this is too much. What have I done to deserve this?
I was utterly disgusted with his inability to understand his own wrongdoing. I never realized he was such a pitiful person. You're really pathetic, you know that? Thanks for initiating the divorce. It was the right decision. I feel so much better now. I hung up on him, blocked his number, and made sure he couldn't contact me again. Through my lawyer, I proceeded to sue him and his mistress for alimony. Surprisingly, they broke up quickly. The mistress apparently had another main partner and was just using my husband for money. The mistress, who had treated him like a mere cash cow, was furious when I demanded alimony from her. "Why should I pay alimony? He was just a fling." She grudgingly paid and dumped him soon after. I never expected such a turn of events. It was a sweet victory for me. Karma is a bitch. My ex-husband, dumped by the woman he planned to remarry, was hit with a double whammy of alimony and emotional distress. He even took a leave of absence from work. Later, he called my parents' house.
"I've decided to sell the condo. I will give you your share. I was wrong. Please let's start over."
Of course, I had no interest in reconciling. "Please don't contact me again. If you do, I will call the police. Goodbye." I ended the call and blocked his number at my parents' house too. It turns out he was in debt from splurging on his mistress and is now being chased by creditors. No wonder he was so extravagant with her. Considering the amount he spent on luxury brands and fancy restaurants, it was obvious his salary alone wouldn't cover it. But to think he went into debt to spoil his mistress. His affair, divorce, and debt became office gossip, and now he is being pressured to resign. Do I feel sorry for him? Not at all. It was a perfect revenge. I have no regrets. He brought this on himself. From now on, I will live for my own happiness. I vowed to myself.
My husband changed after marriage. Him. Don't come back without permission. I was confused. Next month, a shocking truth emerged.
"Get out."
What? Suddenly told by my husband Adam to leave. My mind went blank. We got married shortly after finding out I was pregnant a few months ago. The birth is approaching, and I believed we'd soon be happily living together as a family of 3. But now, he's trying to kick me out of the house. Does he expect me, with no income, to survive on my own? Wasn't he looking forward to the arrival of our baby? As I struggled to accept reality, he delivered the final blow.
"Get out. Don't come back until I say you can."
Wait a minute. This is so sudden. I don't understand.
"Just shut up and leave now."
My husband, furious like I've never seen, yelled at me. Terrified by this new side of him, I fled the house. I'm Jane, 28 years old. I studied design at the technical college and got a job at a production company after graduation. Our company gets requests for designs, illustrations, company logos, and brochures. That's where I met my husband Adam. He worked for a fairly large company and came to us for a brochure design. I was assigned to his project, and we had several meetings to ensure everything was done right. At first, it was all business talk, but gradually, we began sharing personal stories. Discovering we both enjoyed movies, we started meeting outside of work. About a year after we met, we began dating. We just celebrated our 2nd anniversary. While eating our anniversary cake, I brought up something important. "Hey Adam, I have something important to tell you today."
"What? You look so serious. You're scaring me."
"It's not bad news."
Phew, okay then. So what's the important news?
Well, actually, I pulled an ultrasound photo from an envelope and showed it to him. Seeing it, he widened his eyes and murmured,
"Is this what I think it is?"
"Yes, I'm pregnant with our baby."
Are you serious? No way. Wow. I'm so happy. But why am I tearing up?
Don't cry. If you cry, then I will.
Oh man, I'm really happy. Thank you. I promise to make you happy.
Thank you, Adam. I want to be happy with you and our baby. That's how we decided to go from lovers to spouses. But there was one problem. Adam's mother, Holly, didn't approve of our marriage. When we went to his parents' house to announce the pregnancy and our marriage, his father, Derek, smiled happily. But Holly glared at me and accused me. You seduced my son. What are you playing at? I don't seduce him.
You're just after his money because he works at a good company, aren't you?
No, I genuinely love him.
I wonder about that. You're just a technical college graduate. Don't get too comfortable with my son.
I felt completely invalidated and couldn't hold back my tears. Derek tried to intervene, but Holly showed no sign of remorse. In the midst of this, Adam yelled louder than anyone.
Mom, enough! Why are you angry, Adam? I'm doing this for you. If you're thinking of me, then don't badmouth the person I chose. Jane is talented and doing great at her company. You don't need to defend her. You can do so much better than her. Jane is the most important person to me. She doesn't deserve your insults. Adam.
Holly looked tearful. She adored him and seemed to fluctuate with every word he said. Despite her opposition, we collected our paperwork and registered our marriage the following month. We officially started our married life 4 months into the pregnancy. Holly's words had hurt me, but we managed to get through it. I thought we would support each other going forward, but at that time, I didn't realize a huge storm was approaching our marriage. I noticed it around the 5th month of my pregnancy. My company has a policy for early maternity leave, especially since the CEO is a woman who prioritizes health during pregnancy. After I announced my pregnancy, they encouraged me to take maternity leave early. Grateful for my colleagues' kindness, I started my leave in the 5th month. Every heartbeat and ultrasound movement filled me with incredible love. I truly understand the preciousness of having a child with the person I love. Now on maternity leave, I plan to take it easy for the baby. I dreamed of going places with Adam and our baby. While showing him the ultrasound, we made plans for the future. Hey, where should we take our baby once they are born?
Well, how about we all go to the aquarium we love?
I was truly happy seeing my husband talk excitedly about it. Then, a few days later, while I was taking it easy and doing housework, the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, there stood my mother-in-law Holly, looking perplexed. Oh, hi, Holly. She frowned at my calling her name. Don't call me by my first name so casually. And how long are you planning to leave me standing here? Oh, sorry. Please come in. You are quite disrespectful to your mother-in-law. She rudely kicked off her shoes and burst into the living room, sitting on the sofa with a sigh. You weren't sleeping, were you? No, I was just cleaning. Cleaning, huh? But I saw hair on the hallway floor. I've only vacuumed the living room so far. I was going to do the hallway next. You always have an excuse, don't you? Really? Is that how you tricked my son too? No, it's not like that. Well, whatever. I came here today to tell you something important. She stood up abruptly and came close to me, pointing coldly at my now slightly noticeable belly. Just because you're pregnant, don't bother my son. Raise that child on your own. Excuse me? What are you talking about? There are better women out there for Adam. Not someone like you from the bottom rung. How can you say that? That's too much. Shut up. You changed my son. He used to be such a good boy, but you made him strange. Divorce him. She threw holy water on me, shouting, "Demon!" while splashing it. I was beyond keeping my composure. Why? Why does this have to be happen to me? I just want to be happy with Adam and our baby. She seemed satisfied seeing me soaked in holy water and left soon after. Meanwhile, I felt completely broken. I should tell Adam about this, but I was too ashamed to admit how much his mother hated me. The next day, letters started arriving daily for Adam. At first, he didn't pay much attention, but recently, he has been frowning as he read them. One day, after reading a letter, he crumpled it and trembled. Concerned, I cautiously asked him, "Hey, you have been getting letters recently without a sender."
It doesn't concern you.
Why are you speaking to me like that?
Just drop it. It's my mail, not yours.
Sorry. After that day, his attitude became colder. He used to come home on time, but now he's late. On weekends, he used to go out with me, but now he goes out alone. Whenever I ask what he's doing, he just says,
It's none of your business. Don't worry about it.
Even when I told him our baby was a girl, he briefly smiled, but then quickly went back to being expressionless. Can we really continue like this after the baby is born? That thought tightened its grip on my heart. As my pregnancy moved into the later stages, and the due date was 3 months away, Adam came home early one day, looking gloomier than ever. The air was so heavy, I struggled to speak, but knowing something serious was up, I forced myself to ask, "Adam, is something wrong?" He wouldn't look at me. Then, in a shocking cold voice, he said something I will never forget.
Get out.
What? His abrupt words left me completely stunned. I was about to give birth, yet he's asking me to leave? The reality that I was being thrown out of my home was inescapable. He really wants me, with no income, to survive on my own? Wasn't he excited for our baby's arrival? As I couldn't comprehend this, he delivered the final blow.
Get out. Don't come back until I say you can.
Wait a minute. This is so sudden. I don't understand.
Just shut up and leave now.
Terrified my yelling husband, my legs shook. Not knowing what to do, I quickly packed some things and called my father. He said he would come to pick me up, and I decided to take refuge at my parents' house for a while. That's how I left the house, as if fleeing. The following days were tough. Adam wouldn't reply to my messages or calls. My father apparently talked to him once, but he was vague about the conversation. Why could my father talk to him, but not me? I couldn't stop crying from the shock. The next month, while cooking with my mom, the doorbell rang. My dad unusually answered it, so I continued cooking. Then, he called my mom and me into the living room. There stood Adam and Holly. "Adam, it's been a while."
Jane, have you been okay?
"How could I be okay? You've been ignoring all my calls and messages. What have you been doing?" Why? I couldn't suppress my questions and ended up speaking harshly. My pent-up anger and sadness had definitely reached a peak. Adam lowered his head, his voice trembling as if he were crying.
Jane, I'm really sorry. I had no other way to do this without telling you anything.
What do you mean? I don't understand what you're apologizing for.
I didn't want to do this either, but this was the only way to protect you.
Protect me? I asked back immediately, not understanding what he meant. He nodded slightly and began to explain.
My being cold to you and sending you back to your parents was all to protect you.
That still doesn't make any sense to me.
Do you remember the letters I was receiving?
Yes, I remember. The ones you never showed me, no matter how many times I asked.
Right. I brought them today.
He took out a bunch of letters from his bag and laid them on the table. Reading the words in the letters, I was speechless. Divorce your wife. If you don't, your wife will be harmed. Do you care what happens to the child? Divorce a useless woman who can only bear a girl. Tears flowed freely as I read the heartless words. Adam had kept these letters from me to protect my feelings, just as he said.
Not knowing who sent these, I thought it could be someone dangerous. I feared for your safety when you were alone during the day.
So that's why you told me to leave?
Yes. I thought our house might be bugged or under surveillance. That's why I had to say it like that. I'm really sorry.
Adam.
As I explained everything to your father over the phone and asked him to relay the message to your mother, I just wanted you to be kept in the dark until everything was settled.
Why? Why did you have to bear this alone? Then he showed a troubled smile and spoke tearfully.
Because you're kind but stubborn. If I told you everything, I knew you'd say, I'm fine, I want to stay with you, and refuse to go to your parents.
Well,
I knew you'd insist on facing this together.
My parents nodded in agreement. I then asked about something that had been bothering me. Adam, why did you bring your mother here? The atmosphere froze with my question. Adam, trembling, confessed.
The sender of the letters was actually my mom.
No way! She's your mother. She wouldn't.
She told me something. She splashed holy water at you, didn't she?
Yes, that happened.
She was determined to make us divorce. When I mentioned consulting the police about the letters, she immediately confessed.
That's unbelievable. Holly, pale-faced and downcast, winced when I called her name. She then glared at me and yelled, It's all your fault! My son hates me because of you! Holly, if it weren't for you, Adam would still be with me. Overwhelmed, she screamed in distress, leaving my parents and me speechless. Adam, remaining composed, firmly grabbed her arm and spoke sternly.
Enough already! How much trouble do you need to cause? You promised to apologize today, coming here. But she took you away from me, from your mother. Nonsense. You have no right to call yourself a mother after sending those criminal letters. I won't let you meet our child, and I won't see you again. Our relationship ends today. Stay out of our lives. No! Adam, please forgive me. She broke down in tears. I felt no sympathy, only pity for her. Later, her husband Derek forcefully took her home. It seems he is now considering divorce. Adam and I are suing her for the letters. Having only worked part-time before, she's struggling with multiple jobs to pay the compensation. As for me,
I recently gave birth to a healthy baby girl. Keeping up with her rapid growth is my sole focus. Hoping her future is filled with light, we named her Lucy. She will have many experiences as she grows. As parents, Adam and I will support her as much as we can. That's our plan for now.
My controlling husband disparages me. A stay-at-home housewife, threatening divorce, but 3 months later, he was the one crying.
A wife like you, a slacker, is not worth staying together anymore. If you have complaints, let's get a divorce.
It was unmistakably my husband, who was red in the face and yelling in front of me. Why did I end up marrying such a man? Just when I was thinking we should live supporting each other with my child. Custody goes to the father, right? Huh? Suddenly, my daughter was confronted with a reality. But my daughter had a secret plan. My name is Mary, and I'm 42 years old. I have been married to my husband Kyle for almost 20 years. We're a family of 3. My husband, me, and our first-year high school daughter, Melanie. My husband is a workaholic, and since our daughter was little, we didn't have many family outings. I also liked my job, so I wanted to return to work when I put my daughter in daycare. But I was ordered by my husband like this.
You are a wife and a mother. Just take care of the house. Don't even think about working. That's ridiculous.
He provides for the living expenses, so there was no need to worry about our livelihood. But neither my daughter nor I are seeking such a life. What we desire is to go out more as a family, spend time together as a family of 3. However, even when I told my husband about it, he would dismiss it, saying,
Talking about such thing is a waste of time. Unlike you two, I work every day, and that's my prime time.
And he would treat me and my daughter as nuisances, putting the blame on us. Even as my daughter was still young, she seems to have noticed that my husband was rejecting family time. At some point, the amount of time I spent talking to my husband decreased drastically. On the positive side, my daughter and I were close, like sisters. We go shopping together, go to the movies on weekends. As she grew up, she became more helpful, giving me some free time for myself. My husband is relatively quiet, as long as my daughter doesn't talk to him. He eats his meals without any complaints. My daughter and I had grown accustomed to such a life. One day, my husband started complaining about me.
Hey, I have been thinking. What's the deal with the meals you make?
Huh? I didn't do anything special.
Something is off. Every single day, you serve up such awful food. Who do you think buys the ingredients for you? Despite being a stay-at-home mom, can't you even cook properly?
He would rant and shout like this unreasonably, even though my cooking had never been praised before. I have never been subjected to such harsh words.
And it's bland in flavor. Are you treating me like an old man? Who do you think is supporting our lives?
Well, my daughter, who had been silently enduring my husband's tyrannical behavior, suddenly spoke up while we were having a meal together. Dad, can you stop yelling from the morning? It's really annoying. And if you think that this is bland, why don't you add seasoning yourself? You're not a child, you know. My husband was momentarily taken aback by my daughter's clear retort. Apparently, he didn't know how to deal with my daughter because he hadn't interacted with her properly before. He usually just ignored her whenever she said something. Hey, Dad, are you listening? It's true that we can live thanks to your money, but who do you think is cooking for us? Who enables us to have meals every day? Who takes care of the laundry to ensure we have clean shirts every day?
Well, that's...
Faced with a confrontation from his disliked daughter, my husband struggled to respond. Then, he began to redirect his focus from our daughter to me.
Hey, because of your bad parenting, Melanie has grown into such a defiant brat, right? How do you plan to take responsibility?
Hold on. What do you mean by calling your own daughter a brat?
Huh. It's the truth, right? I'm sure Melanie will turn into a bad person just like you.
My husband snickers triumphantly. I couldn't tolerate being insulted myself, let alone my daughter. Cut it out already. Saying such things to your precious daughter. You're the worst. In response to my raised voice, my husband retorted with a mocking look.
A useless wife like you is not worth being with anymore. If you have a problem with it, get a divorce.
Divorce? Why are you suddenly saying that?
What's wrong? Are you troubled by the idea of getting divorced? Well, I guess so. An unemployed housewife like you could never survive on your own.
Saying this, my husband began to laugh loudly. Considering my long period as a stay-at-home wife, as my husband claimed, I didn't have much in terms of savings. If I were to divorce and raise my daughter alone, I could foresee the hardships. But to stay with such a man in the future, that was absolutely unbearable. While I wrestled with this inner conflict, my daughter spoke up again. Mom, it's going to be okay. You don't have to force yourself to stay married to Dad. I'm smart, and I support your decision. Melanie, with those words from my daughter, it felt like a weight was lifted from my heart. My daughter, who was my biggest concern, was supporting me in this decision. Even though there would be challenges, being with my beloved daughter, I made up my mind and agreed to my husband's divorce demand. Fine, let's get a divorce. Then my husband, as if waiting for this, took out the pre-filled divorce form from his bag.
Here, sign this. Then I will give you some money for moving expenses as a farewell gift.
You're quite prepared, huh?
Of course. I've wanted a divorce for a long time. I've been dropping hints for ages. Didn't you notice? Besides, you are too persistent.
So, my husband deliberately made annoying remarks to hasten the divorce process. He had grown to dislike me that much. At that point, I stopped caring about everything. I signed the divorce papers as instructed, and my husband handed me some money.
Do your best with that money.
While taking it, I felt like I was losing, but honestly, I could use the money. Silently, I accepted it and tucked it away. As soon as I decided on the divorce, it felt like a huge burden was lifted from my shoulders, and I immediately decided to live with my daughter. Melanie, let's prepare together. At least until we find our new home, we can stay at my mom's place. Just as I was about to say that, I'm not moving. Custody is with Dad, right? Huh? What did you just say? Not moving? Custody with Dad? My daughter's words left me in a panic.
Wait a minute, Melanie. What do you mean? You are going to live with your mom.
But I'm in high school, you know. I don't want to transfer now. And moving is a hassle, right?
Then Mom will find a house near your high school, okay?
It's fine, really. I'm used to living in this house, and I've decided to live efficiently. My daughter's expression was lively, and she seems completely untroubled. Seeing her like that made me feel a bit sad. Maybe I was the only one who thought we were a close-knit parent-child pair. My daughter's reaction was more shocking than my husband's divorce demand. However, it wasn't just me who was shaken by her decision. My husband, too, seemed flustered.
Don't mess around. Normally, daughters live with their mothers, right? You should live with her too.
Be quiet. I said I don't want to. I said I don't want to. When you turn 16, you can choose which parent to live with based on your own will. That's why I'm saying I will stay with Dad.
I don't care about that. Weren't you close to marry? So why?
Like I said before, moving is a hassle. And considering efficiency, it's more convenient for Dad to have custody. Why my daughter explained with ease. My husband clearly wasn't convinced. Despite yelling multiple times,
Live with Mary.
my daughter adamantly shook her head. Then she continued, Mom, I will help you pack too. It will be faster if we do it together, right? Saying that, she started gathering things in my room. I couldn't understand this child's intentions at all. What is Melanie thinking? I was momentarily confused. No, maybe I was the only one who thought we were close like sisters, and she never really liked me from the beginning. Thinking pessimistically, tears welled up naturally. As I hid my face to keep it from my daughter, she spoke to me cheerfully. It's okay, Mom. Just a little more patience. Eh? For a moment, I froze, not understanding what she meant. However, that confusion was dispelled when I heard about a certain plan from my daughter. That's how it is. So, Mom, please hang in there, even if you are alone. Yes, I understand. With my daughter as a collaborator, I became determined. I won't let my husband have his way. I will definitely get my revenge. With this resolve, I packed my belongings and left our home. Afterward, I returned to my parents' house, and a month later, I was able to rent an apartment. When I informed my daughter of the new apartment's address, she started dropping by after high school. According to my daughter, the plan was progressing smoothly. It's about time for things to start moving. My daughter informed me of this around 3 months after my husband's divorce request. As expected, one day, a call came from my husband.
Hello? Is this Mary? Please help me.
My husband's first words were in tears. I pretended not to know anything and asked him, Help you? What happened?
Melanie, she treats me like a housekeeper every day. I can't take it anymore.
It was just as I expected. Since I left, my daughter has been correcting my husband on all household chores.
Even though I have work, she keeps saying, cook proper meals and do laundry every day. She complains about the taste of the food, saying it's too strong or unappetizing. I'm really stressed out.
All the unreasonable things my husband had said to me were now being thrown back at him by my daughter. The consequences of his own actions were coming back to haunt him. My husband, without realizing it, was seeking my help.
Please, take Melanie back. I'm seriously losing my mind like this.
Honestly, taking Melanie back was not a problem for me. In fact, I wanted to live with her again as soon as possible. However, if I agreed now, it would ruin my daughter's carefully planned strategy. So I told my husband this. Tell that to Melanie, not me. Custody is Melanie's choice. If you really want her to leave, why not negotiate with my daughter? I decisively hung up the phone. That's enough. For now, I will ignore personal feelings and faithfully follow my daughter's plan. A week later, Melanie, having received a substantial sum of money, moved into my apartment. Well done, Mom. Our plan was a great success. Indeed. All thanks to you, Melanie. That's right. My daughter never intended to live separately from me in the first place. Naturally, my daughter arranged for custody to be temporarily with her father. making him understand the challenges of household chores and the struggles of being a mother. After that, she ensured that my husband reached a point where he insisted,
I really want our daughter to leave.
Then, she secured a promise for a lump sum payment of child-rearing support until she reached adulthood. With this as a condition, my daughter decided to move out. That was her strategy. Following the plan, Melanie received a calculated amount of $1,000 a month, totaling about $50,000 from her father in one lump sum, just as planned. And so, under clear skies, she moved into my apartment. Truly, my daughter devised a frightening plan though. However, thanks to her plan, financial worries have indeed disappeared. That alone is more than enough. Yet, my daughter brought even more valuable information to me. And then, Mom, look at this. What is it? She handed me a voice recorder. Just press the play button. Pressured by my daughter, I played the voice recorder. There, my husband's conversation with someone on the phone was recorded.
Oh, the divorce is settled properly. But you see, there's our daughter. No, it's fine. I will kick her out properly. Huh? I only love you, Julia. Oh, Julia? It seems the daughter is finally moving out. Now I can live with you, Julia. Yeah, I love you too.
Undoubtedly, it was my husband's voice talking to his affair partner. Furthermore, my daughter showed me a photo of my husband with an unfamiliar woman. What is this, Melanie? What's with this photo? I dug through his phone while making him do house chores. Oh, they are saved text messages with affair partner too. Wanna see? My daughter joyfully presented evidence of my husband's affair one after another. Terrifying. That's what I thought. But thanks to the evidence she gathered, I could claim alimony from my husband. After hiring a lawyer and claiming alimony from my husband, he called.
Hey, what do you mean alimony now? We are already divorced. Whether I have a relationship with someone or not, have nothing to do with it, right?
Then, my daughter snatched the phone from me and responded, Hey Dad, even though you are an adult, don't you know? If infidelity is discovered within 3 years after the divorce, you can still claim alimony. Got it?
No.
My husband seems unaware of this fact, and he was left speechless on the other end of the call. He fell completely into his own daughter's trap. Ignoring my husband, who was screaming like crazy, I rejected the call and left the rest to the lawyer. In the end, my ex-husband and his affair partner agreed to pay alimony in a lump sum to me. My ex-husband remarried Julia, his affair partner, but she turned out to be a spender, spending all his salary. She even maxed out my ex-husband's credit card, accumulating debts. The fact that my ex-husband's divorce was due to infidelity quickly spread within the company, and it seems colleagues around him are looking at him with disapproval. I heard he was cheating even though he has a high school daughter. Yeah, he used to show off at work with that confidence appeal, right? The rumor spread to higher ups, and despite recently getting a promotion, he ended up being demoted. With that, his salary decreased, and he faces daily verbal abuse from his new wife, known for her extravagant spending. It's a level of hardship that makes you feel a bit sympathetic. On the other hand, I'm leading a happy life with my daughter. I've saved all the child support I received from my ex-husband for my daughter's university education. Although not wealthy, my daughter never complains. Somehow, every day is lively, and I truly appreciate having my daughter. Together, we can overcome any difficulties that may come our way in the future. I'm sincerely grateful for this happiness.
My husband called our newborn daughter ugly, refused to hold her, and demanded a divorce. However, He was shocked when we ran into each other 10 years later.
My husband insulted our 6-month-old daughter, calling her ugly in front of my parents. When I reproached him for this, he says something like this.
Huh? The fact is she's ugly, right?
My husband glanced at our baby in the crib, laughed disdainfully, and says so. I protested vehemently. She's only 6 months old. Her face will change. No matter her appearance, it's our own child, so she should be cute. Hugo looked at my emotional outburst with cold eyes.
No way my kid could be this ugly. I really wanted her to become a baby model. With this face, modeling is impossible. Truly disappointing.
Huh?
Is this really my child? Not cute at all.
10 years later. By chance, when we reunited, we were shocked by each other's appearances. My name is Noelle, and I'm 38 years old. I work as a popular stylist. I coordinate clothes for fashion magazines and work on styling for celebrities at TV stations. At the age of 26, after finishing my apprenticeship, I met Hugo, who would later become my husband. Hugo, 2 years older, was a photographer employed by a publishing company and was very good looking. Hugo, you're more of a model or entertainer than a photographer. So much so that people around me say that. In reality, he gave up on being a model due to not meeting the height requirements. Hugo and I got to know each other through our work, and we ended up dating after he confessed his feelings for me. Hugo was strict not only about his own appearance, but also about the appearance of others. Even during our relationship, there were times he brought up something like this during dates.
Hey, did you see that woman we just passed? She's incredibly fat.
Come on, Hugo. It's better not to speak ill of others' appearances.
What's the matter, Noelle? You must think the same, right?
I wished for him to improve in this aspect. When I started pointing out his negative comments, he eventually stopped making them. Soon, Hugo proposed to me.
With you, Noelle, I believe we can create the ideal family. Will you marry me?
Yes, Hugo. Thank you. I accepted the proposal, greeted each other as parents, and had a wedding ceremony. A year after marriage, I became pregnant. When I shared the news with Hugo, he jumped with joy.
Noelle, you did great. Surely if it's a boy, he'll be handsome, and if it's a girl, she'll be a beautiful child. Regardless of the appearance, our child is ours, so they should be cute.
I responded with a wry smile, but it seemed like Hugo wasn't listening. Soon I gave birth. I gave birth to a healthy girl, and the two of us discussed and decided to name her Evelyn. The day after giving birth, my husband came to the hospital room and peered at Evelyn's face.
Is this really my child? Kinda has a face like a monkey.
What? A monkey? I couldn't help but react immediately. Then a nearby nurse said the following. When they're just born, everyone has similar faces, you know. I think Evelyn is very cute. Upon hearing that, Hugo seemed to nod in agreement.
Yeah, that's right. There's no way my daughter could be ugly.
Come on, just stop it already. I was exasperated by my husband's attitude. Afterward, I was discharged, and life with our family of 3 began. However, Hugo didn't help with household chores or childcare at all. He would go out, claiming it was for work, but he didn't earn much, often returning after drinking somewhere. He never even tried giving milk to Evelyn or attempting to hold her. What's even more infuriating is that he would complain about my appearance while I was busy with childcare and housework.
Hey, Noelle, aren't you getting fat? And you're not even wearing makeup.
It's postpartum. My body shape is going to change. Besides, I don't have time for makeup.
Still, you're a woman. If you're my wife, keep your appearance perfect.
As Hugo continued with such comments, my frustration with him grew. One day when Evelyn turned 6 months old, my parents came from afar to visit.
Is Evelyn doing well? It's Grandma here.
Look, Grandpa brought a new toy. I wonder if she'll like it.
Speaking to Evelyn with affectionate tones, my parents interacted with her, and my daughter giggled happily.
Her face has become quite defined. Is Evelyn taking after Hugo?
Just as my father said this, Hugo immediately twisted his face.
Evelyn taken after me? Come on, please stop it, Dad. Huh? I mean, look at her. She doesn't resemble me at all. Her eyes are small and her nose is flat. Is that so? Maybe she looks like Noelle? I wonder if Noelle looked like this when she was little. At least, I wasn't this ugly, you know?
Hugo says proudly, leaving my parents in shock. I was alone, clenching my fists. To call your own daughter ugly. After my parents hurriedly left, I confronted Hugo. What do you think you're doing? Calling Evelyn ugly in front of our parents?
Huh? It's a fact that she's ugly.
Hugo glances at Evelyn sleeping in the crib, chuckling disdainfully. I protested vehemently against him. She's only 6 months old. Her face will change. No matter her appearance, it's our own child, so she should be cute. Hugo looked at my emotional outburst with cold eyes.
No way my child could be this ugly. I really wanted her to become a baby model. With this face, modeling is out of the question. I'm really disappointed.
What?
I mean, is she really my child? She's not cute at all.
The moment I heard those words, I reached my limit. Not doing housework or childcare is one thing, but criticizing our child's appearance and even doubting if she's really his own? I don't need a husband like him anymore, and Evelyn is better off without a father like this. I quietly stood up and took out the divorce agreement from the living room cabinet. I can't take it anymore. Please, divorce me. With an emotionless expression, I thrust the divorce agreement at Hugo. He seemed momentarily surprised. Then in the next moment, he showed a smile.
I did it. You're the one asking for a divorce.
Huh?
I didn't want a wife who gave me such an ugly daughter either. It's a relief that you're the one bringing up the divorce.
With that, he confidently signed it and handed it back to me. As he handed it back, Hugo said,
Now, we're complete strangers. I'll remarry someone more beautiful and have a cuter child. You guys can live miserably for all I care.
Is that all you have to say?
Yeah, that's right. I don't make much money, so I won't pay child support either. Well, good luck after I leave.
Hugo packed his things and left the house in high spirits. He didn't even bother to touch Evelyn at the end. I held my daughter and cried alone. In the end, that became the last day I saw Hugo. Afterward, I enrolled Evelyn in daycare and returned to work. With the help of my retired parents, who moved nearby, I managed to balance parenting and work. Evelyn grew up healthy, without major illnesses. 6 years after divorcing Hugo, a significant change came into my life. A man I met on the job, Fred, asked me to go out with him. Fred is successful in his career, has a high social standing, and has never been married.
Noelle, would you consider dating me with the intention of getting married?
With a serious expression, Fred asked me this, and I answered with a bit of confusion. Fred, your feelings makes me happy, but you know I'm a single mother, right? Fred responded gently.
Will you let me be your daughter's father?
Huh?
I care about you. I promise to cherish your precious daughter as well.
Fred, thank you. That evening, I told Evelyn, now a grown-up first grader, Hey, Evelyn, what do you think if Mom said she wanted to remarry? Does that mean I will have a daddy? Squinting her eyes in thought, Evelyn seemed to be waiting for my next words. That's good. I want to meet him too. He's Mom's boyfriend, right? She said with a smile, and I felt relieved. The next weekend, I decided to introduce Evelyn to Fred. Although Evelyn was nervous at first, she quickly warmed up to Fred's kind personality. After several dates involving Evelyn, about a year passed, and Fred formally proposed to me. Even Evelyn said, I want to live with Dad, and I happily accepted. Eventually, Fred, Evelyn, and I started living together. Life with Fred was pure happiness. Despite his busy job, he took the lead in household chores and often took Evelyn out to play. Evelyn loved her dad very much. And it seemed like she shared things with Fred that she wouldn't tell me. Before I knew it, 10 years had passed since I separated from Hugo. Then one day, I was at a studio for a photo shoot. There I noticed a man doing equipment handling whom I recognized. As I set my gaze in his direction, he also noticed and stared at me with a gaping mouth.
Noelle?
It was Hugo. However, his appearance had changed drastically. The once called model or celebrity in his youth had now become significantly overweight, with thinning hair, bearing no resemblance to his former self. In shock, I couldn't say anything, and Hugo continued.
Why are you here, Noelle? Are you the stylist for today's junior clothing shoot?
As I faced Hugo, my daughter ran over. Mom, what are you doing? Seeing 10-year-old Evelyn, Hugo, holding equipment in his hand, dropped it in surprise.
Could it be? You're Evelyn?
It was understandable for Hugo to be surprised. Evelyn had grown into a beautiful girl, unimaginable from her baby days. Distinctive, round, large eyes, a straight nose, a small face, and long limbs. My own daughter seemed like a doll. I'm Evelyn. I'll be modeling for today. And who is this uncle? Evelyn said while hiding behind me and giving a cautious look.
Model?
Seeing Hugo's eyes widen, I sighed and explained. Evelyn is currently a junior model. Didn't you know? She's the most popular one right now. Alternating between my face and Evelyn's, Hugo was left speechless. To him, I quietly said, Are you still working as a photographer?
Well, I haven't been doing much as a photographer. Today I'm assisting a friend who's a professional photographer.
Hugo mumbled, evasively. In reality, I knew that he had been involved with female subjects and that his photography work had declined. Well then, do your best. I casually said that to Hugo and turned away, ready to leave with Evelyn.
Wait a minute. I still have things to talk about.
Hugo hurriedly stopped us. What? There's nothing to talk about.
There is, for me. Anyway, Evelyn has become cute. Truly my daughter.
Hugo seemed to have regained his composure, grinning as he tried to reach out to Evelyn. Evelyn quickly dodged his attempt. My daughter? Mom, what is he talking about? Evelyn, this man is your biological father. Evelyn twisted her face in response. What? This dull-looking middle-aged man is my father? While Hugo was surprised, I couldn't help but burst into laughter. Evelyn, you shouldn't say things like that, even if they're true. But, Mom, this man has no sense of cleanliness. He's fat, and his hair is thin. Looking back and forth between Hugo and me, Evelyn delivered her judgment, causing me to clear my throat. He didn't even bother to contact us for the past 10 years. The connection is long gone. Let's go, Evelyn. Just as I was about to leave again, Hugo grabbed my arm. Hey, let go.
Noelle, let's start over.
Huh? Looking at Hugo, I noticed tears in his eyes.
Since I parted with you, Noelle, I've been eating out a lot, and I ended up like this. I realized I can't live without you.
That's your own responsibility, isn't it? Why now?
Besides, Evelyn has become a beauty just like me. A popular stylist for a wife, a beautiful daughter who's a model. It's my ideal. Let's start over, okay?
I sighed deeply. How absurd. Who was it that said he wanted to marry someone more beautiful and have cute children?
Ugh.
Hugo, confronted with his past words, looked defeated. With this appearance, he wouldn't attract women, as he did in his youth.
Don't say that. We're a family, right? Come here, Evelyn. I'm your real dad.
Evelyn looked anxious. As I tried to shake off Hugo's hand, a voice echoed across the floor.
Do you have any business with my wife and daughter?
Turning around, there stood my current husband, Fred. Seeing him, Hugo stared with wide eyes. Actually, Fred's height is 6 feet 3. A former model, he also has a fairly handsome appearance.
Wife? And daughter? Noelle, did you remarry?
I shook off Hugo's hand and told him. Yes. Did you think I spent the last 10 years crying over you?
You traitor!
What? You have no right to say that to me. At that moment, a professional photographer who had hired Hugo passed by.
Hey, Hugo. What are you doing? The equipment hasn't been moved yet. Wait, is that the president? Why are you here? Huh?
Hugo looked confused. The cameraman lowered his head to Fred, who was the president. Then Fred smilingly said,
Today is a special day. My daughter is wearing clothes for my brand for a photo shoot. I wanted to show my face. Please take good care of the shoot.
The cameraman hastily went into preparations for the shoot.
President? Could it be that the brand being photographed today is...
Fred smiled in response to Hugo's question.
Yes, it's a brand from my company. Is there a problem?
Hugo suddenly found himself at a loss for words.
You married the president of such a famous brand?
Yes, my current husband is perfect. You can't compete with him in any way. Saying this, I leaned towards my husband. Evelyn also clung to Fred's arm, glaring at Hugo. My dad is only this person. Go away, mister. Perhaps pushed by Evelyn's words, Hugo collapsed on his knees on the spot. After that, the photographer, having learned the situation, kicked Hugo out of the studio and terminated his employment contract. Of course, there was no way for Hugo to return to his job as a photographer. With no more equipment carrying work, he now lives in a rundown apartment and does manual labor. Even after that, Hugo contacted me a few times, expressing a desire to meet. But Fred warned him.
If you persist, I'll call the police.
After that warning, he fell silent. I feel no emotions towards Hugo, who is likely leading a miserable life somewhere. I can only hope that he'll do his best. On the other hand, I continue to lead a happy life with Fred and Evelyn. Our relationship as a couple is good. Work is going smoothly, and Evelyn is flourishing as a popular model. I look forward to continuing to live peacefully with my beloved husband and daughter in the future.